Good afternoon. My name is Hallie White. This is my submission for research entry number 1. So for my sources, primarily my discussion or my research for this project will be talking about the psyche of students and teachers in public education in Alachua during COVID as a result of virtual learning, and how economic stress was relieved in Alachua County, and kind of just talk about what that looked like for maybe some counties outside of Alachua, generally speaking, and then specifically how things were handled in Alachua County. So my sources for my two charts that I chose from how the pandemic is shaping K-12 education charts was how much has stress from COVID-19 impacted you, and the sample was taken from the high achieving class of 2020 high school graduates in August of 2020. And then my other chart is compared with morale prior to the coronavirus in our school district. Morale levels for the following are, and then students, teachers, hourly employees, administrators answered either much lower, somewhat lower, the same, somewhat higher, and much higher, both on March 25th of 2020 and on December 17th of 2020. So I'll be talking about those two charts, and then some of my sources. Talk about new digital resources for teaching in the COVID age from the Australasian Journal of American Studies. I talk about pandemic pedagogy, K-12 technology, and engineering education under COVID-19 from the Journal of Technology Studies, and that's from 2021. Prior sources from this year, new digital resources for teaching in the COVID age is from 2022. Then I discovered Alachua County Public Schools turned to high-flex learning during the pandemic, and Alachua County reveals future COVID-19 relief and budget plans from October 2020 and July 2020, both NPR articles, and I also reference an article from the Gainesville Sun, and that is from February 25th of this year, of 2022. So, my main discovery from these sources is the biggest danger of the pandemic, aside from spreading illness, is the downfall of education, or the downfall of the psyche of teachers. So through these various surveys and journals, it's reiterated again and again that there was a concerning decrease in morale and motivation amongst teachers and students. As determined in Module 3, education serves the purpose of developing a student's knowledge of themselves and kind of like learning more about what's their natural skill set, and how teachers and education is for teachers to come alongside students and help them learn more about themselves and find what career is best suited for them and help them learn. So from my research, I kind of seek to consider how COVID has kind of stripped schools of the ability to do this, and the impact of that. So I believe that economic and future-related stresses experienced by teachers and families were amplified in the classroom. And this made the learning experience one that was, obviously miserable, and acted as a reminder of everything that was wrong with kind of the outside world. So with that preliminary thought, an observation from my sources, generally a theme throughout all of them is the stress of the pandemic seemed to metaphorically kind of bury or crush teachers and students, and distracted them, not only distracted them from the everyday tasks of education and of classes, but I think Alachua County has done really well to care for the public school teachers in responsibly aiding them financially and providing grants and financially handling money very well. The school board, according to the article, an article from NPR, Alachua County planned to disperse $46.9 million in the CARES Act in July of 2020, with $36.1 million being reserved for COVID relief grants specifically, and not just for teachers, that was for the whole county. According to the Gainesville Sun, the district has 1,884 teachers, 1,463 support staff, and 219 people on the professional and technical staff, and this is as of February of 2022. Even in February of this year, there's been COVID relief, according to the other NPR article. These grants are being dispersed to teachers, and I believe that this shows that the county has taken really good care of educators and addressed their financial needs and addressed their families' needs so that the teachers can carry out their jobs well and, spend more time paying attention to students and caring for them and being able to do, as we discussed in Module 3, which is come alongside students and care for them and help them discover more about themselves, which is in a challenge of itself, but with COVID is just amplified by a lot. So I think that the aid from Alachua County really helped teachers be able to focus more on that. So the extreme drop in morale observed during virtual distance learning affected not only teachers and students, but also other employees in education, such as administrators and hourly employees. Of those two categories, hourly employees consistently said they experienced a dramatic drop in morale from the beginning of the pandemic and in December of 2020. Of the four categories observed in this instance, in the second of the two charts I mentioned at the beginning of this video, those who experienced the most dramatic drop in morale, of course, was teachers and students. 86% of teachers and 82% of students in December of 2020 said that they felt morale was either much lower or somewhat lower, which is, according to me, in my belief, this is, an unacceptable percentage that students are feeling so discouraged, and of course something needs to change. So according to the journal, or the Journal of Technology Studies provides direct quotes from teachers. These teachers are outside of Alachua County. It's not referenced exactly where, but this study was done, I believe, from an author in New York, potentially. And these quotes summarize the effect that COVID has had on teachers very well. One is quoted saying, "We are overwhelmed, we feel unsafe, we have no recourse beyond leaving our jobs." Another said, "I'm retiring, this is it, this will change education and not for the better." These quotes, again, are from teachers outside of Alachua County, so this does not maybe reflect their attitude, but I personally believe it represents the attitude of some teachers in the county, at least, because no one can go through the pandemic unscathed, in my opinion. When looking at accessibility, demographics in Alachua County from NCES reveal that 85.4% of households have access to broadband internet, meaning many students were likely equipped and available for virtual learning. And the median income of households in Alachua County is $76,226 every year. And hopefully this indicates that many families can afford at least one family computer or laptop. This may not be sufficient for parents who are working remotely, or if there's a parent that's working remotely and a student that needs to use it for school. This could be issues. This is the thoughts that I'm going through in my mind, and considering how some families may be disproportionately affected because of internet access and lack of resources. So when considering what we've discussed in our class again, of course, it's no small thing that students from working class families were disproportionately affected by distance learning, as I mentioned. Students who have little access to internet or outside resources teachers depend on for distance learning likely, in my opinion, experienced higher levels of stress than students who easily had access to a private computer with a good internet connection. In my life, I was lucky enough to go through COVID without having a fully online experience. I always have had, gratefully, at least one in-person class throughout COVID as I started in fall of 2020. However, this is just a side note. Demographics also reveal that 51.4% of parents received a bachelor's degree or higher, which can provide a great example of motivation for students and really boost their morale, as is the vocabulary I've been using in this video. They can have parents who have been dedicated to education in the past and can encourage them, which I think is essential for a young student's progress and success academically and ultimately in their career. So overall, my observation has been that Alachua County Public Schools, while all staffs and students have suffered the reality of a worsened mental health, as has been discussed throughout this research and all of these articles and journals, seems that Alachua County has done a good job, in my opinion, at attending to the needs of educators and families to relieve financial stress as a method of allowing for teachers and students to focus on maintaining, their attention on their education And ultimately, that's the conclusion that I've come to with my research. So thank you so much.